What if I told you that your biggest problem isn't indecision? What if what's holding you back is a realization that most people don't have the courage to face their entire lives? You carry a truth you can't share with anyone, but you don't hide it as a flaw. You feel it as a strength. The silent protest rising from within isolates you while simultaneously sharpening your awareness. This loneliness is no ordinary loneliness. It is a loneliness felt amidst crowds of people, an exclusion born of seeing that conversations remain superficial, that people don't truly speak to one another. Your inner world is like a city that stays awake on a night when others sleep soundly, a clash on every street, a contradiction in every window. That's why your thoughts are gloomy. Because your surroundings are nothing but accepted fairy tales, and you're looking at the truth lying beneath those tales. This isn't shameful, it's the price of staying awake. Indecision seems like an attack to you, a deficiency, a mistake. But remember what Dostoyevsky's Underground Man taught you. Indecision is a form of action, a form of resistance. He defends the act of not deciding, because deciding is sometimes surrendering your identity. You too sometimes set a boundary by choosing not to take a step. This stance may be read from the outside as laziness or cowardice, but on the inside, it is your conscious defense. You will not surrender your will because by making a decision, you open the door to conforming to others' expectations. This is not a bad intention. It is a desire for inner autonomy. So why is this the case? Why do intelligent, sensitive people feel guilty when they encounter indecision? Because in the modern world, action and speed have been elevated to a virtue. Quick decisions promise social approval and progress. But you perceive the void behind that speed. Decisions made in haste often remain superficial. Your hesitation stems from the need to dig beneath the surface. There is something beneath the layers of your thoughts. Hasty steps could damage those things. That is why you pause, you analyze, you feel, you weigh. People might call this perfectionism, but the truth is darker. What you fear is not the shame of being wrong, but the possibility of losing yourself. There is another secret hidden in the philosophy of the underground man. Man possesses the freedom to choose irrationality over reason. This paradox reveals the essence of life, for rational behavior does not always reward man with happiness or meaning. You are aware of this too. Logic sometimes produces disappointment. Emotion, will, and even passions possess a truth that lies beyond logic. There is a resistance within indecision. This resistance is sometimes a rebellion against logic. And as a rebellion, indecision sets you free. At least you have not fully surrendered to the patterns imposed by the outside world. Psychologically, the root of this situation usually stems from the combination of two things: deep awareness and strong empathy. You can see through the masks of those around you and read between the lines. This ability seems like a gift, but it also carries a burden. Every perception gives rise to a question: is this real or is it a role? These questions fuel doubt, and doubt paralyzes the decision-making process. Your mind is cautious because the cost of a wrong decision is high, not just externally but within your inner world as well. For this reason, hesitation is often a form of protection, a waiting period to avoid harm and prevent being associated with false identities. But there is a darker truth hidden here. Indecision is also a mirror. As you constantly question yourself, you stand on the edge of your identity, The question, "Who am I?" lingers at every moment of choice. This stems not from a lack of desire for authenticity, but rather from an excessive attachment. It is a test of loyalty to the truth, to yourself. A choice can be a surrender to the ordinary. That is why you hesitate. That is why many people misunderstand you. Your indecision is, in fact, a test of loyalty to your own essence, to your own truth. Dostoyevsky describes the conflict within the human soul with poetic anguish. Sometimes a person chooses to harm themselves, because even that harm is a choice. It may seem more honest than passivity. This is a fine and dangerous line. Within you lies a battlefield where reason clashes with rebellion, and the desire for freedom collides with the need for belonging. Indecision is the silent tactic of this war. It is not merely inaction, it is a strategic wait. And while you wait, you listen to the world more closely. You hear the gaps behind what is spoken, the lies people tell themselves. What you must realize at this point is this: indecision is not a flaw that makes you incomplete, but a form that makes you more real. However, it cannot be an excuse to prevent you from taking any action. Because the difference between conscious waiting and inertia is subtle but measurable. One leads you to understanding, the other to being disregarded. Your task is to find that inner spark that will transform your waiting into action. This spark is usually ignited by a reason beyond fear, a value, a rage, a love, a truth that cannot be described in any other way. Now we come to a dark truth. Sometimes people distance themselves not because they leave you alone, but because they don't understand you. For them, your stance is an intrusion. Your hesitation disrupts their comfort. Therefore, they try to calm you down, to speed you up. For them, clarity and decisiveness are speed. For you, depth. This separation makes you even more isolated. But loneliness is not a punishment. It is also a form of freedom of choice. Being alone doesn't soften your thoughts. It intensifies them. This intensity makes you different. It allows you to live with a sharper, more patient, more painful awareness. And here lies a trap. The magnitude of awareness can lead you to arrogant solitude. It's easy to begin to belittle another's simple joy. You don't know, I know. This is the beginning of great collapses in human relationships. The harsh truth I must tell you: validating yourself by despising others is not worth it. True strength lies in being able to maintain the depth within yourself without belittling others. This is a humble but unsettling maturity. If you can strike this balance, solitude will transform you from a proud, isolated being into a figure imbued with wisdom. Now I propose a shift in perspective, challenging but liberating. Treat your indecision not as a defense but as a laboratory. Experiment, test in small steps. Formulate a hypothesis. If I make this choice, what will change within me? In this way, the art of decision-making transforms into harmony. It ceases to be a compulsion that completely overwhelms you and becomes a practice blended with curiosity and experience. Thus, the fear of making mistakes diminishes, because error is no longer a catastrophe but data. Thus, indecision transforms into knowledge. Another truth seen in Dostoyevsky's Underground Man is the human capacity for self-sabotage. Sometimes there is an unconscious urge for revenge, a desire to punish oneself, not the world or others. This is a difficult but familiar situation. Expecting people to misunderstand you, abandoning yourself to loneliness, These are traps you set for yourself. Therefore, learn the difference between conscious indecision and self-sabotage. Ask yourself, will this hesitation liberate me, or does it serve to imprison me? Conduct a dull test of conscience. Place this simple question in the center of your emotions. The answer will often illuminate your face. Now a deeper step. Accept that you are a complex being. You don't fit into a single label. Modern identity politics puts people into boxes. Are they rational or emotional? Are they inclined to action or thought? These boxes provide you with a condescending comfort, but they also kill you. Your truth is not to fit into these boxes. Imagine yourself as both questioning and feeling, both cautious and passionate. This duality is not a weakness, it is a richness. And if you embrace it, indecision ceases to be a deficiency and becomes a display of your multifaceted identity. Here's another dark but liberating thought. Perhaps there is no right decision. Perhaps life is a series of experiences, and each experience leads you to the next. If so, your task is no longer to wait for the right. It's about acting courageously and learning from the consequences. This isn't about relinquishing control. It's about redefining control. Decision carries intention, not certainty. This intention becomes your moral compass, small, fragile, but real. The tone of your voice is now changing. This isn't a challenge, it's a call. Stop seeing yourself as a lone observer. Be an actor from time to time. Build the bridge between experience and knowledge. And remember, no choice destroys your identity, it only reshapes it. Your identity is not the sum of your choices, but the ability to choose itself. Don't let this frighten you, let it empower you. Dostoyevsky shows us a tragedy, but also a treasure hunt. As you wander through the dark corridors of the human soul, a truth emerges like a shining stone in the most unexpected place. That stone perhaps is simply this: you are a realist. And realism doesn't just cause pain. Sometimes it awakens you, sometimes it liberates you. Accept that within the pain you are drawn towards meaning. This attraction, instead of ruthlessly defining you, makes you someone who can feel more. Now, a moment of silence. Think. Which decisions are you delaying? Which choices are driven by genuine doubt, and which are merely fears generated by the expectations of others? The moment you can make this distinction, the wisdom within your hesitations will emerge, because the answer should not be a hasty decision, but a process that expands you. As we move towards the closing, the last thing I want you to know is this: loneliness and indecision do not make you weak, they make you different. This difference means you carry a burden with eyes that see the world more sharply, but it also gives you a task: to remain human even in loneliness. Your courage lies not only in speaking aloud. Sometimes it lies in being able to wait silently, sometimes in being able to test the truth with small steps. This isn't a heroic story, it's a more internal, more sincere transformation. And now I leave you with one last question. Don't seek a definitive answer. Instead, internalize the question: if indecision is the most striking thing that defines you, what will you do with that identity?